I was recently watching an episode of Seinfeld where his friend George was buying lunch at a sandwich shop. After receiving the sandwich, he went to drop some money in a tip jar that was on the counter, but the cashier suddenly turned around and didn't see him drop in the money. Well, George was all upset because his kind gesture went unnoticed. Welcome to another edition of Family Worship Night. These devotional videos are based upon our Write a Verse a Day campaign that we're doing here at Fellowship Church. This is the month of October, and our theme for the month is rewards. Let's read today from Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 8. It says, knowing that whatever good anyone does, this he will receive back from the Lord, whether he is a bondservant or is free. I think there are at least a couple of things from this text that we can learn. The first thing is, don't just do good things when somebody is watching. An earlier verse in this section or chapter said, don't do work by way of eye service. Only trying to ingratiate yourself towards other people, trying only to look good in front of your boss, or trying to do something only because your spouse is nagging you or watching you do it, or you're trying to look good in front of your friends or maybe even strangers. Do what is right and good every time because the Lord sees us. Do your job as though you are working for Jesus, because you are. Always make your contribution greater than your reward, and do it as right and good because of Him. The second thing that we notice is that we should be willing to give more than what is asked. Go the extra mile. Give beyond expectation. Do not work just the minimum, but give more than what is expected. Be early to work. Be ready and focused on time. Go the extra mile. Do extra things than what is asked. Sometimes we don't want to give the extra because we can't let go of what something might cost us, or we don't want to give the money, give the time, give our energy. We're just afraid maybe that we don't have the margin in our life. Our verse said, don't worry about what you give because you will receive back from the Lord. It may not be the same thing in kind, but then again, it might. God rewards a generous life. When we live a generous life, we are blessed in so many ways. It is easy to take from life, but God asks us to be a giver, to contribute to good things. Now, the third thing that we learn is that we need to reconcile this idea of justice. Sometimes we think that life is not fair, and I'm not going to do good because people just don't deserve it. We think that if somebody's not going to be nice to me, then I'm not going to be nice to them. I would work harder if I was appreciated by my boss. I would give to someone, but they just don't deserve it. Sometimes we can feel like our generosity and our good efforts have to be justified. I treat others the way they treat me. After all, that's the golden rule, right? Not exactly. It's interesting that Paul, the author here of Ephesians, was talking to slaves. He was not condoning slavery by any means, but he understood that it happened in the Greco-Roman world in that time. And even in the harsh and unjust system, he said to the slave, obey your master, work hard, and do it with a sincere heart, because God will reward you. In the next life, for sure, and sometimes even in this one. I was recently reading a story about a pastor who ordered a pizza and asked the manager at the pizza shop to send over a driver who is having the greatest financial difficulties in their life right now. The order was assigned to a young lady named Cheryl. Apparently, she was in particular need. She arrived with the pizza, and the pastor met her at the front door of the church. Unbeknownst to her, the church had taken up a special offering to help someone in the community. So the pastor gave her the money to pay for the pizza and a tip of $750. Needless to say, she was shocked. However, she spent the rest of the day telling every other customer about the generosity of the church. And all that she had earned in tips that day, for the rest of the day, she used to pay forward as a help to others. The church got a little PR out of it. Jesus was glorified, and the community was blessed. I would say that the good that they did was more than received back from the Lord. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Family Worship Night. May the Lord bless you, and we'll see you again next week.